This podcast represents the opinions of the hosts of the Laugh Cry Club and guests on the show. The content here should not be taken as medical advice and is for informational purposes only. And because each person is so unique, please consult your healthcare professional for any medical questions. While we make every effort to ensure that the information we share is accurate, we welcome any comments, suggestions, or correction of errors.
All right, well, you want to kick us off?
Let's kick it off, everybody. Hi, friends. Welcome to the Laugh Cry Club. I am Joy.
I'm Rebecca.
I'm Chelsea. And if you are an imperfect human who has ever laughed and ever cried, especially close around the same time, then this podcast is for you.
Welcome, friends. We're here. We're giving you big hugs. We are 3 licensed therapists who are trying to figure out how to human just like you. We're so glad you're here. As a reminder, you can rate and review us on any podcast app that you're listening. That's the best way to support our show. Every week we start with our laughs and our cries and then our topic of the week. This week we are talking about attachment styles. What the heck does that mean? We'll get into that and then we will preview a topic for next week. All right. Hi, beautiful people. How are you?
It's been a week or two.
I love the memes that say like, what a year January has been.
They're so funny.
I keep looking at, I'm doing this, part of my 21 days of new is also like a financial, very much a financial detox cleanse, all of that. And every day I look at my bank accounts and investments and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, how is it only this date? Like, how is January still happening? It feels like it shouldn't keep
every
still
year.
be happening.
Yeah.
My daughter told me that.
I will never get sick of the humor around January where people post like happy January 125th. Like it feels like it's so long.
Well, Chelsea, to answer your question, why January is taking so long, it's the wheels of time have come to a complete halt. And maybe we're running backwards in time at this point.
I think we are. Time has frozen. We're Benjamin buttoning this whole situation.
Okay. I can't wait.
Okay.
All right. Let's do the laughs and cries on that note. Who wants to who are you nominating, Chelsea?
Well, today I was reflecting this morning as I took a luxurious bath. And I was thinking about this whole episode today. I was like, I could literally fill the whole episode with all the laughs and all the cries. My life feels like it's been absolutely insane, more than usual for the past week. So I'm going to nominate, dun, 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 dun. It's Chelsea. It's me. I'm nominating myself. Wow. It's so exciting.
Coach Walsh.
Coach Walsh, right
Clap
here.
it up for Coach Walsh.
Yes. Snaps, snaps, snaps. Hello. Okay. So my laugh and my cry. My cry was, oh my goodness. So my husband had surgery last week on Friday, and basically they're choking off 2 veins that go to the bad side, the disease side of his liver, where there's a big giant cancer tumor, in order to grow the good side of the liver. So the good side of the liver is at 30% or 32%. We need it to be at least at 40%. So when they remove the cancer, he doesn't go into liver failure. So this was a procedure that wasn't like a huge deal. I wasn't super flipped out. I feel very positive about it. I didn't even tell a lot of people that we were having this surgery. I say that he was having this surgery because I'm like, we're just in it. And there wasn't a ton of risk with it. And it was fine. So he goes in and he's having surgery, and I go back to the hotel room and I'm working, and I am like in it when you're in flow at work, where you're just like getting stuff done and you're getting organized and you're doing all these things. So I'm in flow, and I look up at the clock and it says 4:00 p.m. And I'm like, oh my God, this has been a long time. Like, no one has called me. Normally the doctors call me after surgery. They said surgery would take about an hour and a half. They normally call and say things went well, and then he needs to go into recovery and come out of anesthesia, and they need pain management, blah, blah, blah. So no one had called me. So I'm like, okay, that's really weird. So then I call the nurse's line and nobody answers. Immediately, I go from fine, normal working flow, everything's okay, into complete body hijack. My heart starts racing. I start sweating. I'm tearing up, and I'm like, oh my God, he's dead. This went wrong. Something happened. They're not answering the phone because they can see caller ID. It's my phone number coming up. They're trying to figure out how they're going to tell me that this medical procedure that wasn't a huge deal. Like, my brain is hijacked, and I'm calling over and over and over again. As I'm walking out of the hotel, getting in my car to drive, I'm like multitasking and nobody's answering. So I call one of my best girlfriends and I'm like, I'm fucking flipping out right now. Nobody's called me. He's been in there for hours. I'm like, she's like, helping. She's like, well, talking me through all the logic, but my body is completely taken over. I'm in tears. I'm unraveling. I'm like, oh my God, something went sideways. And the phone beeps. It's the nurse. And she's like, oh, Mrs. Walsh, calling to let you know your husband's eating. He's been out of recovery. And I'm like, oh my God, why didn't anybody fucking tell me? Yeah. So then it goes into that like anger of like, I can't believe, like, I'm so relieved, and oh my gosh, nurse, like, I'm glad he's all the way out of anesthesia. The surgery was successful. Nobody's updated me on anything, which again is very unusual. This is his 12th or 13th surgery, so we're pretty used to how they do this. And then I ask her, were they able to choke off both of the veins? And she goes, I don't know. Did the doctor not call you? I said, no, nobody's called me. So she looks through the notes and she's like, they were only able to do one. So then I'm in tears because I'm like, great, it wasn't even a successful surgery. And so I get in the hospital and he's sweet as can be and he's eating. And of course I'm like in tears because I'm like so relieved to see him. I'm so, and the nurse comes over and I'm like, can we talk to the doctor? Like, what's going on? And I tell him, I'm like, the nurse told me they only got one vein. So it's a bummer. Well, then a fellow comes over and talks to us and says, no, the radiation beads he had implanted have actually scarred the other major vein. So no blood is getting into that side of the good side, or no blood's going to the bad side anymore, which is fantastic.
Good news, yes.
But the roller coaster of like, oh my gosh, that hijack, I've done so good being present and being like, focus on the next thing in front of you. Like the days he has surgery I'm like, okay, let's add some meetings that day. Let's do continuing, like anything I can to stay present. But man, that hijack was absolutely, absolutely brutal. So I didn't actually go into full crying until I went to get him dinner at Panera at the hospital. And there was a rando woman, and she was sitting next to me, and she was a nurse and asking me how things were, or like what I was there for, because it's in the hospital. And I told her about my husband, and she looked at me and she said, oh, he's going to be fine. He has you. I can tell. And it was so weird. And then I just like hugged her and said, thank you. I needed that. And then of course, as soon as you hug, I cried, and then she started crying, and then we were just in it at Panera.
Just like released all.
What a great place to be in it together, though.
Heck yes.
Yeah, it's making me tear up thinking about it. So this wonderful nurse, so sweet, and that's what she's like, he's going to be fine. She's like, he has you, and then that was it. And
so it was just a random nurse.
Yeah, who was waiting for her Panera. Panera was completely backed up because it's at the hospital. So everybody was ordering food. They were like a disaster. And her and I were just sitting like on the ledge of like kind of where you can waiting to pick up our food. And that was it. So
isn't it amazing how the universe, or whoever you want to say, your spiritual advisor, your God, just hands you these things?
Yeah.
It's so amazing. And it comes when you need it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I needed it. I needed it. And I just we just hugged, and then I cried and she teared up, and then she took her food and she left, and that was it. It was wonderful. So
I love those moments.
Yeah. So that was my long cry. My laugh has been all week with this snowy weather. It is hilarious. I live at the beach. Thank you for watching the LCC news.
Yes,
that Rebecca has inspired us to all be newscasters.
Yes, Rebecca's inspired us to all become news weather reporters on our Laugh Cry Club Instagram. If you're not following, please go there because it's the best.
The best. It's just so magical. My kids are so sweet in the snow. Miles was on his phone waiting for the first snow drop. I mean, they like put up with me making these dorky weather casts, and they are just like, this is my mom. This is normal in our life. It's fine. Like, they're doing snow challenges in their bathing suits, diving in the snow. It's just really magical. And I went to the beach yesterday and my nervous system completely reset. Within about 30 seconds, my nervous system was completely calm. And it's just those magical moments where I'm like, you know, my husband's like, these are their core memories. And I'm like, oh, I love core memories that are not trauma. So it has been an amazing roller coaster of a week. And I'm feeling very grateful to be here today with both of you and our club members. So with that said, I'm going to nominate our fellow other future newscaster, Joy.
Oh, I'm a future newscaster.
Has not reported yet, but is in a place.
Challenge accepted.
Oh my God. At the LCC, we now have 3 news anchors. So, news anchor Joy, I'm passing it to you.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm just so grateful that Steve is feeling good and that the surgery went well. Oh, I feel like this week has just been the theme. I was thinking about this before we were recording. Laughs and cries happen every day throughout our life, throughout the days, throughout the minutes. And I was like, I had such a hard time picking a laugh and a cry this week because all it felt like was a roller coaster. So I'm going to just go with that theme, which is kind of similar to what you've been through, Chelsea. I just want to reiterate too that this podcast is a safe space for everybody. And no matter what you believe, as long as you're rooted in love and acceptance and grace and kindness, you know, we're here for that mission. So I want to reiterate that this doesn't ever want to become a place of like being against anyone or anything. So when I say certain things I'm about to say, I just want to reiterate that because I think we're in a time and place of such defensiveness or us versus them. So that's my disclaimer. We are not about that. I'm just sharing some feelings that I personally have. And I honor everyone's feelings as long as it comes from love. That I was really sad about the new administration coming in has a lot of feelings with that for me. And the last time this individual was our president, I was living every single day with like such a high nervous system that I actually got an autoimmune disease from that presidential administration, from that president, from the pandemic, and from a toxic job. So all of those 3 things together developed Graves' disease for a while. And I was very, very sick and I had to recover from that. So I noticed in the past week, my nervous system started doing that same thing where I felt it. And I am so grateful for the knowledge that I felt it, that I recognized it when I felt it. And so that was something where I almost felt like a crazy person because I was having these days where I was like, okay, I'm rooted in love. The only thing I can focus on is my behavior and putting love into the world and putting kindness into the world. But then the next day, when you read some of these headlines, I was so angry and crying and upset and just wanting to be like, how is this happening? And it just felt like this. It's just felt like a roller coaster where there's days where I'm like, kind of just like laughing to myself because I feel a little nutty. So I'm
like kind of crazed.
Yes,
like
totally.
The spiraling eyes and your system's totally overloaded. Yeah,
totally overloaded. So in those moments, I felt so helpless and just scattered. Where I'm like, you know what? I have to kind of reset and find some grounding, and really just ask for grounding. And it came to me. I found this wonderful podcast called Pantsuit Politics. I've listened to them for quite some time, but I took a break for a while just because I dip in and out of that stuff. Sometimes it can overwhelm me, but I now need to get back into that, because what I need during this particular administration is a voice of reason. Like, they just kind of talk about the facts. One's a Democrat and one is a Republican. So they have very just like logical brains, no like wildness to it. It's just very rooted and grounded.
Without the spin.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you. So they had Cory Booker on as a guest, and he was kind of talking about his process through how he's about to handle this, because truly, like, as of this recording, it's only been a few days. And I'm like, okay, I can't do this for 4 years. So he had just such a good perspective that completely, and I won't go into it, but if you want to go listen to the Pantsuit Politics podcast, just search for it. It's in the title. They have Cory Booker on. But it was such a grounded way of looking at what we have to do if we are in that space, if we are experiencing that, and no matter who you are. And this is not to be about like defensive or, mean towards each other, but it just completely flipped the switch for me, where I was like, okay, right now I can like calm myself down. But the laugh cry was just all in one roller coaster of the week for me. Like, my emotions just felt like all over the place. And I want to give myself grace with that. I think there was also something that I saw from Adam Grant's podcast where he had a psychologist on that was basically like, hey, mental health right now is feeling your feelings appropriately to the situations that are happening. So if there's something that's making you mad, get mad. If there's something that's making you sad, feel sad. You don't have to be happy all the time.
90 seconds, right?
Yeah. And just that like that reminder though, that if you're reacting to something, that's healthy. That's healthy to say, oh, this made me mad, instead of being like trying to fight it or trying to push against it or trying to kind of put a happy spin on it. Like, let's not do that to our mental health. So those are all, my answer to this question this week even feels scattered, but that's just where I am. So I'm going to
bless you.
I'm going to put a pin and move on.
Well, I want to give a feedback. Can I give a feedback before
Please.
we put a pin? I think, there's a couple things that came up for me. Number one is how helpful it is to take in new information when we feel stuck. So by listening to that podcast, you took in some different information, and that gave you an aha moment that actually saved you. We can't keep deep diving into the same things over and over and over again. I think it's Einstein who said, we can't solve the problems with the same brains that created it, right? So we are limited on our own. This is where really leaning into trying to support yourself. I think education, to me, knowledge is power. Like, it's why when I work with individuals, I'm like, this is what the symptoms of you're experiencing. This is why your brain is saying this. This is why this is happening to your body. Once we can seek to understand, we can now have an internal pause. And I think that's what's happening with you. You got an aha. It gave you a pause, and you're still having to participate in life while you ride the waves of the waves of the emotion, the roller coaster of emotion, I think is how you referenced it. So that part of feeling your feelings, toxic positivity is not helpful. In fact, it just seems to me to be a high functioning form of denial.
Yeah.
It's not helpful. We sometimes have
polishing a turd.
Totally. The turd is still shit. Okay. Like, it's still shit.
It might be golden, but it's still shit.
If you drop it, shit's going to fly everywhere. Ew. Gross. Yuck.
Ew.
Yeah. So you might have to take time to clean the shit. You might have to take time to pick up the shit and put it in your neighbor's lawn or put it in the trash or do something. I'm just talking about Rebecca's neighbors.
I know. I was like, Rebecca's neighbors.
Actually, Rebecca's neighbor who threw a knife in her yard. We're putting shit in your yard, kid. Just kidding. But it's a lot to hold. So as we continue to navigate the highs and lows, like some cathartic release of feeling your feelings is super healthy because it honors your human experience. And this is going to connect to attachment later on. So just wanted to kind of give that back. Thank you, Joy, so much for sharing. And also, I think for going over the values that we have at the Laugh Cry Club of leaning into love, curiosity, kindness, and bringing togetherness in the how to human together. So I really appreciate you sharing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we need to create more spaces where all voices, opinions that are kind of presented with compassion, love, and kindness, we can have those conversations. And I think even...
And we need to. I would say we need to.
Yeah. And I personally am taking that challenge as well. I think that's kind of my emotions around this is I have a tendency sometimes to just have this like wall up when I feel something that's really rubbing me the wrong way. But I think that's what really prevents us from moving forward is we have to lean into the differences. And to quote Cory Booker again, he was like, we can't all think the same way. Like that would be horrendously boring. And please, let's all work together with our differences. Like let that be a rich experience, but we need to have those conversations and learn how to do that in a way where the second you might hear me say something about, oh, I don't really support this administration, people would like shut the podcast off. You know what I mean? Like that's not how we could do this. And I'm trying to do the same thing for things that maybe I don't understand as much. So yes, the values of this is really everyone is welcome here and we want to learn and we want to continue to grow. So hopefully we accomplish that. Like hopefully our vibe is accomplishing that. So, okay. Moving on. Thank you for hearing me out and supporting. Rebecca, what say you?
Wow. Okay. My cry. So I have been working on a pet loss and grief course for, I don't know, like a few months. I've been writing it and doing all the things. And in the last few weeks, I've tried to find the best place to host my course and then, all the things. It's a whole long thing, but I'll make it short. But anyway, I finally figured out like, okay, after trying several different places, this is where I'm going to do it. And I had to teach myself how to do this. I've never made an online course before. So I was feeling pretty proud of what I had written. And then that I actually figured out how to create an online course that I think looks really good. So finally, Monday, I've been so buckled down on this for the last 2 weeks. I don't think I've done anything on the weekends besides work on this course. And I finally I'm a perfectionist, so that's probably part of this issue. And I finally got it to where I think I liked it and launched it earlier, a few days ago. And I came out of my office. It's like 6 o'clock. And I am just like in tears. And it's joyous tears though. And I felt so accomplished. And I haven't had that feeling in a long time. Like when you do something really hard, but you still believe in it and you keep chipping away and like, you don't know how to do the thing, but you're like, I'm going to figure this out. And you don't let the obstacles get you down. And it's just like, whoa, like I did the thing and now it's out there to help other people. And I don't know, I was just so proud and excited. So if you guys are interested in that course, you can go to elevatewellnessnow.com and look for the course called Healing Hearts, Navigating the Loss of a Beloved Pet. Yeah, gift cards will be coming soon. So if you know somebody that's going through a pet loss, that you'll be able to purchase a gift card for them and then automatically get sent to their email address, the contact information you provide, so that you could gift that to somebody that's going through it. So
congratulations, Rebecca. And can you just reiterate too that you have a course that specializes in pet loss? Can you tell us a little bit about like what you learned in that, or not what you learned, just like an overview of like what it was about? Because I love that you did that.
Well, in the course, it talks about my whole journey, that I did this because I was going to be losing my Charlie, who had been my dog since he was 8 weeks old. He was my baby. He had been my longest relationship ever, human, animal, anyway, I just knew I felt like I was going to fall apart and struggle. And so I'm like, what can I do to try to help myself? So I found this course. I did a lot of research to find one that I would be like the real deal, I thought, because sometimes you can just pay money, you get certified.
Yeah.
This, like, I had to take an exam after every book I read or online lesson. And so it's about 100, I think it was 175 hours is what they say. And yeah, you get like this. So it's through I forget the actual name, but through the American Institute of like Medical Personnel. And yeah, so it was a journey. It took me a while. I had this intention just to knock it out because I needed to prepare myself. But it took me like a year to get through because it was pretty intense. Like, you're reading about pet loss and death and it's bringing up your own stuff. So then I had to go through that. And I'm really glad that I have the certification, that I can help people. And ultimately, I really want to do some online support groups or offer support groups in my community for people because I feel like that's really important. So that's how I got to that point. Yeah.
That's amazing. Congrats. Well, we will post the link in the show notes for the course to check it out.
Yeah, thank you. So that was huge. Plus, I'm not a programmer. I am a therapist. We don't learn computer stuff in school. So that was crazy. But my laugh has to do, I was looking in my mirror the other night. We were getting ready for bed. And I'm like, oh my God, look at these wrinkles. I'm like, I'm like doing the whole stretching thing. And I'm like, I'm going to need to get some Botox, or I think I'm going to get some plastic surgery. And Robin was like, it's just part of aging process. You don't be like those other plastic people. I'm not going to like that. Like, I want you to look like a real human being. And this is part of aging. And I'm like, well, I don't feel it. She's like, you're almost 50. I'm like, I don't feel 50. I think I feel like I'm in my early 30s, late 20s, but my face isn't looking like that. And I
love your face.
Well, thank you. But I was going on about the wrinkles. So the funny part is, I was like, I'm just like an old Honda. The exterior is all fading and cracking. Those old Hondas where the paint's all coming off?
Oh, yeah.
I
love them. And they just go forever.
But the engine, we still have another 300,000 miles on this thing. So that's how I feel. Like, the exterior's cracking, but I feel so youthful and so strong. And like that. So I'm comparing myself to an old Honda now.
Okay. Well, I have to laugh because my mom, who loves to have work done on her face and body, she used to say this to me. Well, Chelsea, it's just like a house. You wouldn't let the paint just chip, would you? Of course you would touch it up.
Well, that's how I feel. My car needs a paint job.
Dude, I mean, I'm all for a touch up, so I'm probably not the person to ask about being all natural. I'm like, whatever. If I can do a little something here and there, just a little bit of frozen Botox, I'm into it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need all my facial expressions to show, although and I tell them, just like, I still need to be able to move my face because I'm a therapist and I'm not trying to look 20, but I do want to be like the house that's kind of classic and doesn't have like massive chips, I don't know. I think it's
because the face doesn't move on some people, and it's very
it's upsetting and concerning. Yeah.
And
so I was going around like pulling my eyes up. I'm like, what do you think of this look? And she's like, absolutely not. I'm like, I could get some tape and like tape it.
Oh yeah, you could get the frownies where you sleep with them at night.
I'm like, I don't know if I'm buying any of that. I don't know if that works. I have one of those. I don't. Things. I'm pretty sure that thing doesn't work either.
I was just having the same conversation with a friend where we're like, as you age, because I'm 47, and you just kind of like look at your face and you're like, oh, I'm not ready for that yet. And so I think that's kind of what I do, is I try to like delay it. At some point I'll be like, all right, this is just going to happen. But yeah, it's.
Well, let me know how you learn the radical acceptance of leaning in, and maybe you can teach us here at the Laugh.
Yeah, maybe I'll keep you. We'll do this together.
Oh my gosh! Well, on that note, we could go on and on about laughs and cries and all things skincare and fun, but we're going to dig a little bit deeper today. Actually, I'm going to just throw this out there. We're going to dig into what I believe is the core of all conflict, the core of everything, in my opinion, psychology-wise, stems. It's rooted in attachment. It's why, if you're somebody who works with me, we're going to do a ton of attachment work because I believe it's the most healing work that you could ever possibly do. And
I agree with that.
I don't know how measurable it would be in our measurement-based care kind of CBT world that we've gone into. But I will say this, relationships heal, and we have an opportunity to change our attachments all the time. So let's go ahead and start with like an overview of the 4 in psychology, how we would categorize attachment.
Can I do a quick, the origin of attachment theory?
Yes.
So the origin of attachment theory was in the mid 1900s by psychologist John Bowlby, who defined attachment as a lasting psychological connection between human beings. So it starts with how you are bonded to your caregivers. So that's where this is rooted in like a very brief nutshell. The strange situation study is also very popular by Mary Ainsworth, where they had a child and the caregiver in a room, and they would have the caregiver leave to see how the child would react upon the caregiver returning. It's a really interesting study. So that's another one if you want to deep dive into it. But they have then since John developed 4 main attachment styles. So Chelsea, continue.
Yeah. So we have 4 attachment styles. It's secure, anxious, avoidant, and then disorganized. And disorganized is basically a combination of anxious, avoidant attachment. The study that Joy is referencing and Rebecca's referencing, if I remember it right, I can kind of give an example of what I remember about this study. So they have a baby and they have the primary caregiver. Let's just say baby and mother to keep it easy. The secure attachment, the mother leaves, the baby cries, the mother comes back, she picks up the baby cries a little bit more, and then the baby calms down and the baby's happy, and then the baby goes on doing baby things, knowing that the mother's there. The anxious attachment, the mother even starts to leave, the baby flips out, starts crying, cries and cries and cries, unconsolable until the mother comes back. The mother comes back, the baby's still crying, and it's this like very heightened, anxious feeling in the nervous system of the baby. They're worried. It's like a worried baby. And then the avoidant is the baby doesn't know whether their needs are going to be met or not. So the mom leaves and the baby doesn't care that the mom leaves. And the mom comes back and the baby doesn't care that mom comes back either. And then the disorganized is we see the mom leaves and the baby might be worried about the mom leaving, crying. And then the mom comes back and the baby doesn't care that the mom's back. And when I say doesn't care, these are all feelings and emotions stored in the body. Obviously, the baby's not logically thinking this, but I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. And then we look at the why. Why does that happen? So infants are 1,000% reliant on their caregiver to survive. When a baby's crying, they need that responsive parent to say, are you wet? Do you need food? Do you need to be held? They need their caregiver to intuitively know. And they don't actually have to know. They have to try. I think the research is like they had a book called The Good Enough Parent. I mean, this is like 1,000,000 years old. We've been therapists for a long time. So these things are these are histories of our learnings. You don't have to get it right perfectly, but you have to try to get it right, because every time you try to get it right, you're creating a secure attachment where the baby says, I have a need. I don't know what my need is, but someone's going to meet my need. And that's where the attachment is rooted. My favorite part about this and the saddest part about this is that a child will grow their worth and their self-esteem. That is rooted in that attachment. So every time a parent looks at their child and is like, I'm loving, I'm trying, I see you, it's okay, you're crying, let me see, do you need food? Let me see, let me do this, let me do this. The child is learning self-love. They're learning self-worth. They're learning their value. Okay, now fast forward. We all get in relationships with other humans, and these attachments are very old and very wired for survival. So I've shared a lot of I'm throwing it back to the LCC.
Yeah, I love working with people that are going through relationship difficulties. And so attachment styles are always coming up in my work with people with relationships. And for me, a little back history why I got really interested in them is because probably early 20s, 30s, I was going to therapy pretty routinely because I always was kind of struggling in relationships and I would feel really dysregulated at times. And I started to realize like I had an anxious attachment style. And so what was happening to me is that anytime I would maybe lose an attachment, like somebody breaks up with you or they say something terrible to you, it would be super distressing and almost like you think like you can't even function. If say the person, back in your early 20s, it's this on and off again bullshit that people did in relationships, like, oh, I'm going to break up with you. And now, oh, can we go back out? And when the like, let's get back together again, then it would be like this really reuniting of intense happiness. It would be like this total emotional roller coaster happening. I had to do so much work and realize that I had anxious attachment. Now, I'm not blaming my parents or anything, but there was something during my attachment with them. Which makes sense because they were really young parents. They were 18 and 19 when I was born. And so they were probably trying to figure it out too. That's the attachment style I had. So then I had to do a lot of work. And at this point, I just did the attachment style survey last night online, and I'm secure attached now, which you can change it. So that's really amazing.
Yes, you can change it.
I wish I already knew, but I was like, I'm going to take the quiz because I just want to see if what I think is happening is really happening. So yeah.
And I do want to add a couple of things with this. So Rebecca, her attachment style from her early formative years was coming out in relationships. That is what happens. When we're repairing our relationships, it's all about creating safety within your own body. And then every time we have a corrective emotional experience, which we've talked about, you show up in a way that's been hurt and damaging. You have another person who sees you, who validates you, who gives you a different reaction than what you're used to. We correct. So that's one really important part is when you see people with these different attachments, these are vulnerabilities of their upbringing. The other thing is when Rebecca said it's not her parents' fault. That's 100% accurate. There were generations that said, spare the rod, spoil the child. There were generations that said, let a baby cry it out or they will be spoiled. There was, don't feed them too much or they'll get fat. This was coming from medical professionals telling parents, this is what you do for your kid. Every parent in my belief system, I would say most every parent out there is doing the absolute best job that they can. And the beauty is when we get the new information, like similar to Joy did earlier today with the podcast, once we get that new information, we have an opportunity to do it different. If you still have kids, you get to now do this differently with your kids and repair that attachment. If you have a significant other, you can do that. There is an opportunity to heal. So even if you're an adult parent and you have adult kids, you can work on providing that corrective emotional experience because now you know something new, which is so amazing.
And I want to just reiterate, I love that you said that, Chelsea, and thank you for sharing that, Rebecca, that once you understand, then you can start to work on it. And I think that's one of the most amazing things that I love about therapy is face the fear. It can be scary, but once you know, oh, this is why I do what I do, you can start to heal it and have those, what Chelsea said, corrective emotional experiences. So for my experience, similar to Rebecca's, and we kind of hinted at this last time, I don't want to leave listeners hanging, but last week we were going to like guess each other's attachment styles. But I'll just tell you that mine for a very long time was anxious attachment as well. It was deathly afraid of abandonment. So how that showed up for me, and when I think back to my childhood, I am a twin and we were born premature, about a month premature. Here's where it goes back to, this is not the fault of the parents all the time. This is just how life was. I was born in a time in a very small town where they didn't have the resources to help us when we were born premature. So right when we were born, we were whisked away. It almost makes me cry talking about it, from my mom for like 2 weeks in a hospital, in an incubator, where we didn't have like skin on skin that they talk about now. And so I'm getting emotional talking about it because like, just to think of us little tiny premature babies, like not having your mom there for 2 weeks. She's like, I had to like come in and visit. And I like right after you were born, you were gone to get the care that you needed. That wasn't her fault, you know? Like,
No.
so, you know, my parents were there visiting us in the hospital for a while we recovered and we were in incubators and I had jaundice, you know? And so over time, I see that like hurt in myself of abandonment, where for a long time in my life, I was so afraid of people leaving me. And I had a really hard time saying goodbye to people. And when my brother left for college, I was devastated, like just ripped to shreds. And then in my 20s, I didn't need anybody. I was like, I don't need anybody. I kind of like flipped to this place of like,
Avoidant.
what would that be? Avoidant. Yeah.
I mean, again, these are all protective.
Yeah.
Protective. When we say defense mechanisms, that is a protective piece of yourself that helped to keep you alive. Okay. It helped to keep you emotionally safe. This is
it worked for me.
100%.
You know, it like kept. So then as I aged through that, and I was kind of like, all right, I really gotta, like, this doesn't feel good anymore. I really want to have a closeness that's meaningful. And then when I met my husband, he provided such a safe place for me to like work this out. But then on another episode, we can go into this of like how I really consistently tried to push him away, to be like, are you going to stay? You know, like that testing of it. And then it took years for us to work through it. Thank God we like survived it together. Cause I'd be like, are you really going to stay? Are you really going to stay? I was constantly looking for reasons why he was like going to leave me, you know, and that's like anxious kind of rearing its head again. So that's just an example of now I'm in a secure place where I'm like, I feel great. I feel good. It took a lot of work. I don't fear abandonment. I am at peace with like how things go in relationships, but holy hell, it like takes the toll on you.
It really does.
I mean, it's such a roller coaster. I too am anxious avoidant, so it would be considered disorganized. Growing up, very, you know, I don't think anyone's going to like what I'm saying, but I had one parent who was an avoidant and one person who was anxious. I very, very, very anxious avoidant attachment. The same thing. First person I fell in love with, total avoidant attachment. Second one who I loved, didn't fall in love with, but loved and married. Total anxiety, all of that. And then of course I was the avoidant. And then my husband now, he's avoidant and I was anxious. I mean, these are like recipes for disaster. Really, really, really hard. It took so much, to your point, Joy, so much work for both of us to be able to land into safety in this marriage and a secure attachment. And Steve and I have been together for, you know, we've been married for 15 years together, for 17. This has taken massive work to be able to heal that attachment wound. And then to your point, Miles was NICU as a baby. He had a brain bleed. And Charlie was cesarean and they kept her away from me for too long. The nurses kept saying she needs to be with her mom. She needs to be with her mom. They were taking forever to sew up. And then she had baby asthma, that not being able to breathe, which creates anxiety in mom, creates anxiety in baby. So again, there's lots of different vulnerabilities that we have. The study we shared was a very concrete way just to understand, but there's a million other areas of vulnerability we can see medically. Mother's going through something, there's a loss, there's a death, there's something that can affect that attachment, but we can repair. We can repair. I want us to hold on to knowing
we
can repair.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that, which is not, I don't want to gloss over that, like being aware is really, really hard because you really have to be like, I got to work through this, which is why therapy is so great. But do you think that we tend, as you were talking about that, Chelsea, like take you and Steve, for example, him being avoidant and you being anxious. Do you think that's typical of people to like attract the things that they're like opposite?
It's like, horrible. Yeah. We attract what is familiar. So people say you marry your parents. You marry your wounds. Whatever your deepest wounds are, that is what we are attracted to. So somebody with
can you say that again? Oh my God. We marry our wounds.
We marry our wounds. People say
That's
we
gonna
marry.
be on a shirt.
Yeah, you marry.
We're so screwed.
I mean, there's some research that says that that's what chemistry is. You marry your wounds. It's that excitement, that unknowing. Chemistry is the uncertainty dopamine high of your body's being hijacked.
Yeah, very true.
Yeah, very. I mean, there's a lot. We could have a whole other podcast, but I do want to say that, when we think about what we're attracted to, let's just think of this. I had, anxious avoidant attachment in my upbringing, very anxious, separation anxiety, worst anxiety ever, avoidant later on. My mother and father split up. My mother left the home, total anxious, avoidant. And then who do I marry? A fucking roadie who tours the world and is gone 6 to 8 months a year. I marry somebody who leaves me on a regular basis. I mean, are you kidding? We can't get it any more classic textbook. You marry your wounds, guys.
Yeah.
Okay,
you do.
You just made me laugh so hard because I just realized when I first married Scott, or when we were first dating, he traveled every single week.
Yeah, were they anxious? Let me marry somebody who evokes every single
Who's
insecurity.
constantly leaving.
Yeah, Rebecca, what do you got?
Well, I kind of have the opposite. I think I went through all the anxious attachment stuff and was probably working through it when I met Robin. And she was different than probably other people that I had chosen to partner up with before. And I'm like, okay, this felt really stable. And it was like, I was no longer worried about abandonment because I never felt like she was going to abandon me. She never once had any of those weird things that people do. It just felt really safe and secure for as many years as we've been together. Yeah, I feel like I've continued to grow in my attachment of secure attachment. And now I'm at a place, if for some reason we weren't together and I had to go back into the dating world, that I'm very aware of the people to avoid, that I was probably picking avoidant people, right? And because when I think about it, they really were not available to me.
Yeah.
But I was like, I can help you. I can make you, look how great I am. And how great, like you try everything. And
okay, hold on. And underneath that is, let me earn my worth that you're not going to abandon me because I'm going to go after the hardest attachment and I'm going to have you connect and get safe
that is
with
so
me.
true.
Wow.
I'm going to win it. I'm going to win it. Yeah.
Yeah. So now I feel like, our relationship, I've had a secure attachment. And if I wasn't completely secure at the time we met, I think we have probably both helped each other into, being more secure because it's absolute trust that we have with each other.
So this can lead us to our tip and trick. Okay. So we heal in relationship. The statistic when I went to grad school, which I don't know if it's still true or not, but it was that 80% of the therapeutic relationship is the attachment you have with the person you're working with. It's the relationship that is healing. So again, we can be the most skilled individual provider in the entire world. But if we don't have that authentic relationship, that loving, kind, compassionate relationship, it doesn't matter. You actually the relationship, you are building a relationship. So I will say that. That's why screening your therapist is so important. That's why I don't take anybody who I have not done a 15-minute consult with, because the fit matters. Second part of this, if you want to start to learn co-regulation is how we repair our attachment. Something you can do, and this is what I did unconsciously, subconsciously, I didn't know I was doing it, is you can do this through your safest friendships. So say you're dating. Let's just say I'm single, I'm dating, and I'm having that anxiety about this person. Rather than calling this rando person who I don't know how they're going to respond, I could call Rebecca and say, Rebecca, I'm really struggling with anxiety. I'm really freaking out. They haven't texted me back. I don't know what's going on. Maybe they don't like me. Maybe there's this. And I'm spiraling. And she says, gosh, Chelsea, this is so hard for you right now. It's so mind racking to not have somebody respond in a timely manner. I can see how upsetting this is. And, the feeling of anxiety is the worst. And, I love you. And how can I support? How can I help? That is the beginning of co-regulation. So you can do this with your closest friends. You show up in your most wounded part of yourself and you let it be seen. And once it can be seen, there's no longer shame when somebody holds you and says it's okay. And I had this happen with my girlfriend, Natalie, that avoidant attachment. I'm fine. I had something hit me. I was in a massive anxiety spiral. I flipped out. This is my friend since I was 12 years old. She had never seen me unravel that way. And I had to leave our hotel room because I was so ashamed. I was so embarrassed of how that anxious attachment had hijacked me. And she said, thank you for sharing this with me. I have not gotten to see this. And I feel, she didn't use the word ripped off, but she felt robbed that I did not ever let her see this really tender, vulnerable part of me that wasn't together. Healing. There's healing. So that's a helpful tip and trick. And I would say just be really compassionate, give yourself grace, and know that these are things that we can heal. And don't judge yourself for the triggers. We're riding the roller coaster. We're riding the wave.
Mm-hmm. And being that full, true self with the people that we love and trust is such a gift to that person to be able to help you. I always say that to people where it's like, if you don't allow that with your deep relationships, you're really like robbing them of the gift to be there for you, because we love being there for our friends. We love being there for our people, and we want them to be there for us. So I think that's a really good point.
And
it's
worthy.
Also,
we are so worthy of feeling scared and vulnerable or feeling disconnected and shut down, and having somebody reach out and say, I see you, you're okay. Because as a child, baby, infant, toddler, somewhere in your life that happened and nobody was there, and you didn't know that you were going to be okay because your brain didn't have the language to do that. And so even if you can do that for yourself, like, it's okay that I have these feelings. Like, this is just a moment in your life. This is just a moment in your life, right?
Chelsea, you said, don't judge yourself, but I also want to say, when other people are judging you, like saying, why are you so crazy? They love to say that to people. Don't take that on, because what you are a wounded child at that point, and you can use this as a catalyst to go seek help, call a friend and say, I need to work on this attachment issue possibly. Or maybe you don't. Maybe it's actually the other person that's accusing you of being crazy that needs to work on it.
I would say the crazy accuser might be a little avoidant.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
Yeah, because they're terribly uncomfortable with your big feelings, and they're like, shut it down. I'm freaking out. I can't handle your big feelings. Yeah. Let me slap a label on you and make it stop.
Exactly.
So they've got their own wound. Everybody's got a little.
Yes. Everyone is marrying their wounds.
Yep. Yeah. And if you want to heal yourself, have a baby or get married. Because that'll just open you up.
Okay, that's your advice. Have a baby or get married. Or go to a therapist.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about opening up your most vulnerable wounds. Yeah. Ask any mother whose kid's freaking out and they're like, I don't know what to do, but I think I'm fucking them up, and now I'm fucked up. And now, I mean, the neuroses of wanting to get it right. If you're vulnerable, because your heart is now open to love, because love is being vulnerable. We don't get to have it unless we are vulnerable. Guess what? You get lots of big feelings, and there's so much beauty. Oh my gosh, the messiness is my favorite. It's the Freud quote. One day, in retrospect, the years of struggle will be the most beautiful. You'll find those as the most beautiful, and I think it's true. Y'all, I could go on and on. This is my favorite thing.
Yeah, it's a great topic. And I would say one of the hardest assignments in life is to work through wounds. So yeah, if people out there are resonating with that, and bring it up with a therapist or reach out if you have questions. We're always here to help. What do we have on the docket for next week, guys? Resiliency and perseverance. What do we mean by that? What do we want to go into, Chels?
Well, we're going to circle back to the beginning of the episode when Rebecca shared about her course that she created from her therapist mind, not a tech mind, because that's not her area of expertise, and how she went through it and showed up for this uncomfortable process while she also did the emotional work of processing her own grief and loss around her longest companion, Charlie. So resiliency and perseverance is really, those are like two giant superpowers that get us through life that we are meant to have. And we're going to just maybe talk about some hard times and then talk about what we can do to build up that resiliency muscle and maybe some things that we can do to help ourselves persevere in the really hard times. So that's what we're going to talk about next week. And then maybe we give you all a challenge to try to just get really curious this week about your own attachment style and see how you can show up and be a little more compassionate for yourself or loved ones or randos. Always
those randos. Leave room for the randos.
I will say too, you can go online and just Google attachment style quiz, and if you don't know, you can just take one of the quizzes online.
And if you don't know, now you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. We will miss you while we're gone. Again,
Yes.
if you have a laugh or a cry and you want to be nominated, please email us at laughcryclub@gmail.com or DM us on any social media platform, Instagram, Facebook. It looks like TikTok is back. You can send us a message there and just say you have permission to share my laugh or my cry or my win. We would love to share out some of the messages we get from club members, but we want to make sure that we have permission to honor at least using your first name and where you're at. Or this listener's from Nebraska, or anyways, I could go on. We love to hear from you, and we're grateful for you being in the club.
Yes, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
You can follow us at Laugh Cry Club on all the social media channels, and especially see the weather reports from our favorite weather reporters, Rebecca and Chelsea, and soon to be me.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yes.
Thank you guys so much for supporting us and listening. Please share with a friend, and we will see you next week. Bye. Everybody.
Bye.
That's life, baby.